Breaking news, the Atlanta Falcons have officially decided to bench Kirk Cousins in favor of Michael Penix Jr. I was originally going to make this a short, but there's just so much I want to say that a 60-second short will not be able to cover all of it. So I'm going to make this quick little video on my reaction to the Falcons benching Kirk Cousins for Michael Penix Jr. First and most obvious thing, this was a deserved benching. Kirk Cousins has played like garbage in the last 5 weeks. In fact, I think that this benching comes too little too late. The Atlanta Falcons are currently 7-7 with 3 games left to play on the season. The Falcons could win out and still miss the playoffs. Our playoff fate is not in our own hands. We need other teams to lose. For starters, the Buccaneers have a 1-game lead on us, so if the Buccaneers win out, we can't even win the division. Then for the wild card, the Washington Commanders have a 2-game lead on us. Yes, we play the Washington Commanders, and we could beat them. However, even if we do beat Washington, they still have to lose out. Not to mention, there's also the Rams and the Seahawks, who both have 8-6 records. The Seahawks also own the tiebreaker on us. We could win out, go 10-7, and miss our division because the Bucs went out, and miss the wild card because we lost the Seahawks, and there's also the Commanders in there as well that could win out and only lose to us. So this is too little too late. This team has, at least over the last 5 weeks, with better quarterback play, we only lose one of those games. The game against the Vikings is the only game that we lose if we have better quarterback play. Now, against this, if you look at our last 5 games, we played the Saints. To be fair, that game against the Saints, Younghoe Koo did miss 3 kicks, right? If he makes any of those 3 kicks, we win that game. But Kirk Cousins, let's not pretend Kirk Cousins played well at all as well in that game. Then after that, there's the Broncos. The Broncos boat raced us. But our quarterback play was still horrendous as well. The Broncos were getting drives in early field position because Kirk Cousins looked like crap. Then we go into bye, and then against the Chargers, that's all Kirk Cousins. He throws 4 interceptions. Then against the Vikings, he doesn't look good either. Again, our defense did nothing to help him out. But Kirk Cousins looked bad. And then nail in the coffin yesterday, Monday night against the Raiders, against a team that is actively tanking and has the worst record in football. We beat them by 6 points and scored 15 points. It looked atrocious. Now, don't get me wrong, the entire blame isn't solely on Kirk Cousins. Like I said, Younghoe Koo also hasn't been that good. The play calling has also been suspect as well. But Kirk Cousins has been the primary, if not the main issue with this team over the last 5 weeks. Now, like I said, it is a team-based game. The defense has looked bad in 2 of those games as well. The defense looked bad against the Broncos and the Vikings, but the defense did look good against the Saints, the Chargers, and the Raiders. So at least our defense is actually pretty good against bad teams with not that good offenses. Yes, I know the Chargers aren't a bad team, but the Chargers are known for their defense, not for their offense. Let's be real here, okay? Yes, the Chargers have a decent offense, and our defense did pretty good at stopping Herbert, all right? I'm not going to deny that. But this change was made way too late. Way too late. In fact, honestly, I think I would prefer if we just kept in... I'm so torn, right? I would have preferred if we just started Michael Penix Jr. after the bye week, personally. If we were going to put in Michael Penix Jr. this season, after saying, you know what we're going to do is start Cousins the entire year and have Penix sit, now you're going back on your word. And this just, I wish we would have done it the bye. Because the whole reason that you put in Michael Penix Jr., right, is to save the season. That's literally what Raheem Morris said here. This was a football decision, and we are fully focused on preparing the team for Sunday night's game against the Giants. You're starting Penix because you are trying to make a playoff push. You're starting Penix because you're trying to save the season. If that's what you were doing, you should have done it after the bye week, or at least you should have done it after the Chargers game. After the Chargers game and Kirk Cousins threw 4 picks, if you're trying to save the season, you just lost 3 straight and Cousins has looked like garbage in the last 3 games. Start Penix. But no, you then give him 2 more games. You go 1-1. You arguably could have lost against the Raiders, and then you put in Penix. You put in Penix once you get to a spot where it's out of your hand. You're not saving the season anymore. You're hoping for a miracle at this point. Like I said, we could win out. We could win out and still not make the playoffs. Isn't that crazy to think about? We need other teams to lose, or else we won't make the playoffs. You are putting in Michael Penix Jr. with 3 weeks left when your season is basically all but done, and you need help plus winning out. Here's the big thing with Cousins, right? We gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year deal, $100 million guaranteed. If you look at this 2025 season here, Kirk Cousins is $65 million in dead cap. If we cut Kirk Cousins, we take $65 million of dead cap and lose out on $25 million. Now next year in 2026, if we cut him, we only take $25 million in dead cap and we actually save $32 million. And then in 2027, if we were to keep him for 3 years, which we wouldn't, it's a lot cheaper. Basically, the Kirk Cousins contract was a 2-year deal. I'm pretty sure even though he got $90 million guaranteed, 80 of that $90 million came in the first 2 years. It was essentially a 2-year contract. The Falcons' plan, or what they were thinking is, hey, we'll sign Kirk Cousins to what's essentially a 2-year deal, have him start for 2 years, and then have Michael Penix Jr. be the starter after 2 years. Or what they're doing now, they would have done next year, where Kirk Cousins starts year 2, his year 2 of his contract, and then if he starts showing decline, you'll throw in Michael Penix Jr. in year 2. Or if Kirk Cousins played great, then great. You keep Kirk Cousins, then you cut him or trade him after year 2 and then start Michael Penix Jr. Or maybe Kirk Cousins looks so good through 2 years, you could keep Michael Penix Jr. on the bench. I'm pretty sure Atlanta would have loved that issue, to keep Michael Penix Jr. on the bench because of how well Kirk Cousins played. Worst case scenario for the Atlanta Falcons is what's happening right now, where Kirk Cousins is so bad, you have to put in Michael Penix Jr. year 1. I know nobody on this Atlanta Falcons team wanted Michael Penix Jr. to come in year 1, especially when you give Kirk Cousins a 2-year deal where in 2025 he is making $40 million guaranteed or something around that. I know that he's making a crap ton of money guaranteed. Like I said, if you were to cut him, he literally would take a $65 million cap hit, and cutting him only hurts us. Literally cutting him only hurts us because we lose out on $25 million. There's no reason to cut Kirk Cousins. We literally only lose money if we cut Kirk Cousins, unless we restructure his contract. But why would Kirk Cousins agree to that? Why would he agree to losing money? Think about that. It's not like he asked for that contract. That's the contract we offered him. We offered him $100 million guaranteed. Why would he agree to taking a $25 million pay cut then just to get cut himself? He's not going to agree to that unless he's a nice guy that wants to help out the franchise, but he has no ties with us. This is his first year here in Atlanta. Why would he agree to restructuring his contract? He's not, especially because we just benched him now. So basically, we're now screwed in 2025 is what I'm saying. As you can see here, our cap space, we have $6 million. We have $6 million in cap space next year. And unfortunately, $40 million of that is going to a quarterback that's going to be on our bench. And if we cut him, we don't even free up cap space. If we cut him, we actually lose cap space. So we can't cut Kirk Cousins. We've now just screwed ourselves. That's why I'm saying, honestly, with only 3 games left and the season basically all but done, maybe it would have been smarter just to keep Kirk Cousins, because now at least next year, Kirk Cousins isn't going to be pissed off at us. Maybe next year you could say, oh, we're going to have a battle between Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. and make it seem fair, even though Michael Penix Jr. is going to win the quarterback battle when it was always Michael Penix Jr. But now we've just burned the bridge with Kirk Cousins, I feel like. Now it's like, uh-oh. How screwed are we in 2025? Because we're not going to have any money to sign any free agents. So CM Freeze from the future here. Something else I did want to talk about, because I didn't want to seem like a complete idiot who forgot this, is I was doing some more research on the Kirk Cousins contract, and it seems like the best option for Atlanta, what they're going to do, is cut Kirk Cousins in 2025 post June 1st. Now, if we see the difference here between cutting him pre-June 1st and post June 1st, it's saving $25 million off the Falcons' books. But what's going to happen here? Where does this $25 million go? Well, after June 1st here, Kirk Cousins just gets that $25 million straight up. It goes into his bank account. So Arthur Blank, I'm sure he's not going to be happy about it, because regardless, he has to give Kirk Cousins an extra $25 million. Just as long as they cut him after June 1st, it's not going to go towards their salary cap. So essentially, the Kirk Cousins contract, all it does is screw over Atlanta in 2024 and 2025. Obviously, in 2024, look at all this cap space and all these cap numbers that went towards their salary cap that they couldn't spend on players. And then in 2025, we're literally going to have $40 million going towards Kirk Cousins. Like, that's actually ridiculous. And then we're going to cut him. So we're going to take literally $40 million in dead cap. Do you want to know why this says $0 in cap savings? You're saying, well, Cameron, it's taking $40 million off your cap in 2025. Why is it $0 in cap savings? That's because it's going to save us all of this cap in 2026 and 2027. That's what's going on there. So we're screwed in 2025 because of this Kirk Cousins contract. Literally $40 million in cap we aren't going to be able to use next year. We're going to take $40 million in dead cap. That's ridiculous. If you look at our current dead cap right here, it's only $300K. Now add an extra $40 million to that because of the Kirk Cousins contract. Now we could choose to keep Kirk Cousins on the team and have him be the backup. That's going to be up to Cousins. Regardless, it's at least we're going to have $40 million for a player that's actually on the damn roster. If anything were to happen to Michael Penix Jr., that's up to the team. But there's no way Kirk Cousins is making it in 2026 and 2027. Like 0% chance that Cousins is on this team in 2026. We'll see what happens in 2025. Regardless, it's $40 million in salary cap that the Atlanta Falcons are going to either have towards a backup quarterback or just dead cap. That's not going to do anything for them. You know, it could be best just to cut him so that he is going to be cut regardless. It's just, do the Falcons want to keep him in the 2025 season, or do they want to keep him? You know, if they keep him for the 2025 season, then cut him in 2026. As you can see here, cutting him post June, then will only result in $12 million in dead money. So maybe the Falcons do want to keep Kirk Cousins on the team in 2025, but there's just some more salary cap numbers that I wanted to show you guys. But regardless, in 2025, things look bleak for the Atlanta Falcons because they're going to have $40 million in dead cap and essentially not have that much money to build a team around Michael Penix Jr. Keep in mind that Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons, both who haven't been playing spectacular, but Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons do not go towards this $6.5 million cap hit. Now, there are ways to free up money. I know that we can restructure Jake Matthews' contract, we can restructure Grady Jarrett's contract. I know that there's ways to restructure contracts and end up saving us about 20, 30, at most $40 million. However, with those $40 million, again, that's just pushing money back to 2026 and 2027. And is $40 million going to be enough to make this team a Super Bowl winning team? Like I said, we're losing Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon, who haven't been playing that good. But then we're going to have to find ways to sign players with that $40 million. Plus, if we push all these contracts back of Jake Matthews, Grady Jarrett, Caleb McGarry, that's going to hurt us in the long run because we have Drake London, who's going to be needing a contract here soon. We have Bijan Robinson, who's going to be needing a contract in 3 years. These are guys that I 100% want on my team. Drake London is playing like a wide receiver one. You have to re-sign Drake London to a big contract. Bijan's going to need a big contract too. I'm just saying now in 2025, things look grim. Things look really bad in 2025. And like I said, we're switching to Michael Penix Jr. to try to make a playoff push. We could still win out and not make the playoffs. And then here's also a reality for you Atlanta Falcons fans and for me. Here's a reality. What if Michael Penix Jr. isn't good? 50% of first-round quarterbacks are busts and don't make it into the league. We're already seeing Bo Nix be successful. We're seeing Jaden Daniels being successful. Drake May is borderline successful. That's 3 of the 6 first-round quarterbacks right there. You really expect all 6 quarterbacks to work out well? Caleb Williams isn't playing that good, but his team around him is garbage, so who knows about Caleb? Michael Penix Jr. could easily be the bust in this draft class. Michael Penix Jr. could be bad. Now, again, I agree, Kirk Cousins has been playing terrible. He needs to get benched. He should have been benched weeks ago, when we still had something to fight for. Dude should have been benched 2 to 3 weeks ago. He should have been benched in the middle of that Chargers game, if you ask me. Or at least right after that Chargers game, if you wanted to say, you know what, he's a veteran. We gave him this so much money. We really want this to work out. But then you gave him 2 extra games. You made yourselves look like idiots. And now, like I said, the season could be done for. And the worst part is, like I said, if we go 10-7, we'd have a late pick. We'd have like pick 17 or 18. So it's like we would be in this middle ground where it's like, congrats, I guess. We had a good record, but we didn't make the playoffs. It just hurts us in the long run because we get a worse pick. At least with the worst pick, it's going to be less salary to sign. But I don't know, man. Like I said, the Atlanta Falcons, you sign 2 quarterbacks. Or you get 2 quarterbacks in the offseason. You get Kirk Cousins and you get Michael Penix Jr. Best case scenario, like I said, Kirk Cousins plays really good for 2 years. Michael Penix Jr. takes the reins for 2 years. Right now, we're in the worst case scenario. Where well, I guess it's still not the worst because we don't know how Michael Penix Jr. is. But we're right now in a bad scenario where we have benched Cousins and now Michael Penix Jr. is coming in. And if Michael Penix Jr. doesn't do good, if he doesn't look really good in these 3 games and wins out, I understand he's a rookie, and I understand it's his first 3 games, right? But the whole reason you are benching Cousins, is so that you can win with Penix. If you don't win with Penix, good God, that could cost jobs. That could cost jobs. Our GM could be gone. Our head coach, it's only been 1 year, but man, he's going to be on some thin ice. Our head coach, Raheem Morris, is really going to be on thin ice, even after 1 year, because of how poorly you screwed up the quarterback situation. Arthur Smith got fired because of how terribly he handled the quarterback situation. And now you bring in a new guy, you bring in 2 new quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix Jr., you're supposed to fix the quarterback situation. Right now, 50% of the quarterback situation has completely blown up in your face. You give $100 million guaranteed to a quarterback who has looked like ass the last 5 games of the season, and has frankly looked like ass for about 8 of the 14 games that he's played in. Now, Michael Penix Jr., he used an 8th overall pick on. If he doesn't do good too, you've just completely wasted a year of football. You wasted an 8th overall pick. You wasted $100 million guaranteed. You wasted a season where you had a lot of young talent and you could have won because you completely royally botched the quarterback position. And that is a reality that Atlanta Falcons fans have to face. Michael Penix Jr. could still be bad. He could be bad. He plays the Giants next week, who is the 2nd worst team in football. So he should easily beat the Giants, but then he has to go play the Commanders, and then he has to play a Panthers team who, the Panthers don't look terrible right now. The Panthers do not look like absolute garbage. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Falcons' Michael Penix Jr. I hope Michael Penix Jr. plays really good. I want us to win. I think best case scenario, we win out. The Commanders lose a couple of games. Maybe even the Bucks lose a game somewhere in there, and we get a home playoff game. I think that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I don't think we lose all 3. I think we beat the Giants. The Giants are actively trying to lose. I think worst case scenario, we beat the Giants, but then lose to the Commanders and the Panthers, go 8-9. Penix Jr. looks bad in those games, and we're screwed. So a lot can happen in the next 3 games. We'll see what happens. I just wanted to react to the Falcons benching Michael Penix Jr. Benching Kirk Cousins. Like I said, it definitely needed to happen. I just wish it was sooner. I really do. I wish they just would have benched him sooner if that was the direction they were going to go into. I wish they would have benched Cousins sooner or just had Cousins stick it out the entire year, because now we're hurting our relationship with Kirk Cousins and we could potentially be screwing over our 2025 season because of this. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, please let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with my takes. Thank you so much and peace out.